The Galactic Council had many rules about Earth and its inhabitants. But perhaps the most puzzling was Rule 847. Humans may bring one companion creature aboard station vessels, classified under emotional support animals. Ambassador Vortex of the Kree Empire had always found this regulation absurd. His scales rippled with disdain every time he saw humans walking through the gleaming corridors of Station Harmony with their bizarre creatures. Dogs, they called them. Descendants of apex predators, domesticated over thousands of years into docile companions. It's just a pet, Vortex muttered to his aide, watching as Captain Sarah Chen passed by with her daughter Emma and their golden retriever, Max. The 6-year-old girl clutched a stuffed toy while the dog trotted peacefully beside them, its tail wagging. The aide, a young Kree named Zalthor, nodded. The humans claim these animals provide psychological benefits. Our xenopsychologists confirm it's a genuine need in their species. Vortex snorted, a sound like steam escaping a vent. Weakness. The Kree need no such emotional crutches. What Vortex didn't understand, what none of the other species truly comprehended, was the bond forged over millennia between humans and dogs. It wasn't merely companionship. It was partnership, loyalty, and love written into the very DNA of both species. 3 cycles later, the unthinkable happened. A Xerath raiding party breached Station Harmony's outer hull. The insectoid warriors were known throughout the galaxy for their brutality and their particular hatred of the Council races. Alarms shrieked through the corridors as bulkheads sealed, trapping groups of civilians in various sections. Captain Chen had been in the diplomatic quarters when the attack began. She'd managed to get Emma into a sealed room, but the raiders had cut through the door before she could join her daughter. The last thing Sarah saw before the emergency barrier slammed down was Emma's terrified face, and Max, standing between the child and the opening doorway. The Xerath warrior that entered was massive, nearly 7 feet tall, with serrated mandibles and armored chitin that could deflect plasma rounds. It chittered in its native language, compound eyes fixing on the small human child cowering in the corner. Max didn't bark. There was no warning growl, no theatrical display. The golden retriever simply lowered his head, ears flat against his skull, and positioned himself between Emma and the intruder. His lips pulled back to reveal teeth that seemed suddenly longer, sharper than they had any right to be. The Xerath warrior laughed, a clicking sound of amusement. In the creature's experience, most species fled from its kind. This small furry animal would be dispatched in seconds. It lunged forward. What happened next would be analyzed by military strategists for years to come. Max moved with a speed and precision that defied his usual gentle demeanor. 40 million years of predatory evolution, briefly suppressed by 10,000 years of domestication, exploded forth in a single moment of protective fury. The dog's jaws clamped onto the Xerath's primary leg joint, crushing through the thinner chitin with bone-breaking force. The warrior screeched, swinging its bladed appendage at the animal. Max released, dodged with impossible agility, and immediately attacked again, this time going for the throat. 80 pounds of muscle and determination collided with the warrior. They tumbled across the floor in a savage tangle. The Xerath's blade caught Max across the shoulder, drawing blood, but the dog didn't relent. His teeth found purchase in the softer tissue beneath the warrior's mandibles. Throughout the entire encounter, Emma remained pressed against the wall behind them, exactly where Max had positioned himself to shield her. When station security finally cut through the barriers 15 minutes later, they found a scene that defied belief. The Xerath warrior lay motionless, its throat torn open. Max stood over Emma, still on guard despite the deep gash across his shoulder and numerous smaller wounds. The child had her arms wrapped around the dog's neck, sobbing into his bloodied fur. Ambassador Vortex arrived with the medical team. He stood frozen in the doorway, his preconceptions shattering like glass. "By the ancestor stars," Zalthor whispered beside him. "The creature. It killed a Xerath warrior, with no weapons, no armor." Captain Chen pushed past them, falling to her knees beside her daughter and the wounded dog. "Good boy," she sobbed, running her hands over Max's injuries. "Good boy, Max, you're such a good boy." The dog's tail wagged weakly even as the medical team began treating his wounds. Vortex approached slowly, his usual arrogance replaced by something approaching awe. "Captain Chen," he said quietly, "I owe you and your companion an apology. I called it just a pet. I was wrong." Sarah looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. "He's not just a pet, Ambassador. He's family. And humans protect their family, but our dogs? She hugged Max gently. Our dogs protect us back. It's what they were born to do. What we bred them to do. What they choose to do, even when it costs them everything. The ambassador's scales shifted colors, a sign of deep contemplation in his species. He'd spent decades studying humans, trying to understand what made them so resilient, so adaptable, so dangerous when threatened. Now, looking at the wounded animal who had defeated a creature 3 times its size to protect a child, Vortex finally understood. Humans didn't survive and thrive in the galaxy alone. They'd brought their partners with them, creatures they'd shaped over thousands of years into the perfect complement to their own strengths and weaknesses. The Kree had technology, the Xerath had armor, the Centaurians had telepathy. But humans? Humans had something far more powerful. They had each other and beings who would die for them without hesitation. 3 months later, Rule 847 was amended. Now it read, humans may bring 1 companion creature aboard station vessels. These animals are to be respected as partners, not pets, and afforded all due protection under council law. And in the footnotes added by Ambassador Vortex himself, warning, do not threaten a human child in the presence of their dog. Consider this species a defensive weapons system with absolute loyalty programming. Max recovered fully from his wounds. He received the Council's Medal of Valor, the first non-sentient being ever to be so honored. He accepted it with typical canine grace, wagging his tail and licking the hand of the Council President. Emma never let him out of her sight again, and throughout the galaxy other species began to whisper about humanity's greatest secret weapon, the unconditional love of a creature they called man's best friend.